G'day, how you doing? Adam here from Poseidon Racing with another Z Run update. Today I want to talk about something that's been highlighted, something that I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks. The game is in beta, it's in test mode essentially, and as we're moving along, the developers are tweaking and twisting and modifying and improving the game, and they're doing an absolutely incredible job. I think the reset back in December and the racing algorithm looks to me, in my opinion, to be relatively fair and relatively balanced. Okay, so that's a big tick. But the new class system for me looks like it's not perfect. And this is always the case. You know, you've got to test it, get the data, and then reassess. Now, I think we probably have enough data to reassess whether the class system is perfect or not. And I'm going to argue today that the current version of the class system is not absolutely perfect because it is disadvantaging some styles of horses and advantaging other styles of horses. Okay, currently the way to manipulate, if you like, or not manipulate, but the way to do very, very well in the current class system is to have horses that are the most inconsistent horses possible. Okay, you want horses that finish either first or last. Okay, and what that will do, that will allow you to win a lot of races and stay relatively low in the grades. Okay, you do not want horses that are incredibly consistent but finish between the positions, say, 3 and 8 or 9. You know, right mid-pack, every single race, mid-pack, mid-pack, mid-pack. Not good at all in this current version of the class system. Now let me switch over to full screen and we will take a look. Hang on a second, let me just set this up here. Yeah, that will do. Let me switch over here and I'll explain a little bit of what I'm talking about and show you some stats. Now, what has highlighted this to a certain degree is two types of horses. One type of horse, let me come here to the roster. One of my old horses, which I've recently sold, was Tinder Romance. And look, this horse in the current version of the game is particularly disadvantaged in my opinion. And I think, look, at the moment, the way the game sits, this horse is not likely to win a lot of races, let's be honest, but he may well be, once we get things like weather, and this is a conversation for another day, weather, fatigue, different courses in different countries, the particular gates that this horse might be suited to, I'm sure, you know, he might find his niche. He might be absolutely dominant in wet weather, for example, whereas at the moment all the races are in, well, I believe they all are, they're all in sunny, fine weather. But once those tracks get a bit of variation into, you know, how heavy they are, we might see some of these horses that are not particularly great in the sunny, hard track weather, might be better in the soft track, heavy track type scenario. Now that's not what I want to talk about today. We have Tinder Romance here, and he is well and truly, I can't see from this, can I see from here? No, it's not telling me what his actual rating currently is. Let's just jump back to Tinder there. It's not showing what his actual rating is, but I believe he's over 100, so well and truly steadfast, locked into class 1. But in my opinion, he's probably not going to win more than 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 races in the current variation of the game, particularly when he's locked in against some of the best horses in the game in class 1. Now, if we have a look at my stats sheet, I won't switch pages, but if I have a look at my stats sheet here, and we type in Tinder Romance, we can see, yep, he's got 34 races, so my stats sheet is up to date. Now, currently the class system awards you points. You get more points and move up through the classes if you're between position 1 and 4, and then positions 5 through 8, you're neutral, you get 0 points, and then between 9 to 12, you lose points. So what this class system currently does is rewards horses that are incredibly consistent by pushing them up and adding points to them, even if they're not finishing first. So you've got a horse like Tinder Romance here. Out of his 34 races, how many times has he lost points for finishing between 9 and 12? 1, twice, 2 in 34. So, you know, not very frequent at all, but then he hasn't won a single race either. So this horse is well and truly locked into Class 1, but he's probably never going to win. Is that fair currently? Now, there was always going to be some winners and losers of the class system. This is the first, you know, version 1.0 of the classes. And was it to be expected that it was perfect first time around? No, probably not. Okay, but these types of horses are well and truly within Class 1 and never going to be, you know, competitive for wins when they probably should be in maybe Class 3, somewhere down around there where they are a little bit more competitive. And then if they win too many in Class 3, well, they should be bumped up to Class 2 until they find that equilibrium. Now, currently, I don't believe the class equilibrium is fair and based on the most important factor, which is winning. Okay, you've got horses like Tinder Romance, and there's another, one of my old favourites, Excalibur. Where are you? Am I spelling that right? Yeah, I couldn't see it. Excalibur. Very, very similar. Excalibur, 57 races, 1 win, a little bit more places than what Tinder has, so probably a little bit better horse. Excalibur, let's put him in my stats sheet here and see how many times Excalibur has lost points for finishing 9 through, is it 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, 9 through 12. So we've got 57 races here, and he has finished last, not last, beyond ninth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So he's not losing very many points either, which means Excalibur, or it's a female, a mare, she is locked well and truly into Class 1 as well, in a field of company where she probably doesn't deserve to be, or where the equilibrium is not quite there and she's not going to win. So again, she should probably be competing in, say, Class 3. And again, if she wins or finishes top 2, top 3 and gets a few wins, well, then she should move up to Class 2 until she finds that place where she's winning a few, losing a few, and sort of finding that equilibrium. Now, there's horses on the other end of the scale. In fact, let me have a look at the racing chart here. You've got horses on the other end of the scale, like Ducky Malone, and congratulations to Doofy Doo, good mate. He is absolutely the number one stable at paid racing currently. I mean, like me, you probably, every time you see a big race run and you look at the result, Doofy Racing, he's winning an incredible amount. And that's not what this is about. This is not about restricting how many races Doofy can win, although what I'm suggesting may well restrict how many races Ducky Malone can enter, because you've got horses here like Ducky Malone currently in Class 3. If we click on Ducky, you can see 247 races, a lot of races, 25% win rate. So out of those 200 and almost 50 races, Ducky Malone is winning at 1 in 4, with a total prize pool which is probably nearly 2x the next competitor. I would consider Ducky Malone, or in fact I do consider currently Ducky Malone the best horse in the game. If not, and that could be argued, at least in the top 3, and that would be hard to argue. Okay, big prize money, big win rate. That is a premium win rate. There ain't many horses above 25% with over 100 races. There's a handful. I think Breathless Edge is there, my horse Insane Him is there, and Ducky Malone, and there might be 1 or 2 or 3 others with more than 100 races, keep that in mind, and an over 25 or over % win rate. Now, based on the current class system, should the best horse in the game, or at least one of the top 3 horses in the game, be in Class 3 and maybe even as low as Class 4, or should it be locked up well and truly in Class 1? In my opinion, this highlights the potential issue or imperfection in the current class system, because I believe horses like Ducky Malone, Breathless Edge and Insane Him should be well and truly in Class 1, potentially never to drop out again. If you've got a horse that's winning 1 in 4 races across all classes and has a prize pool of $7,000, not that that really matters in this equation, but if you've got a horse that has 250 races, 25% win rate, winning 1 in 4 across multiple classes, it should be locked up into Class 1. Now, how do we potentially modify the current system to reflect that a little better? Well, I think that's a data-based, a data-driven algorithm that needs to be implemented. For example, we need to look at horses potentially like Tinder Romance and Excalibur and say, right, well, you know, these horses shouldn't be in Class 1. And Ducky Malone probably shouldn't be in Class 3. He should be well into Class 4. So that inconsistency, so we need to maybe weight the wins a little bit higher. Okay, so wins maybe need to be more points than what is being taken off for last. Because currently Ducky pretty much goes win, last, win, last, win, last, which tends to have Ducky Malone fluctuating between Class 1 and Class 4, depending on what kind of form Ducky Malone happens to be in. So the way that it needs to be looked at is go, okay, well, Ducky probably needs to be a Class 1 horse. How do we rejig the class points allocation so that horses like that with a high win percentage end up being up with the elite horses as far as class system is concerned? Now that, yes, that is going to affect Ducky and the amount of races she can enter, because currently she's in this real golden sweet spot. And look, if you think that's fair, then absolutely let's leave it. But for the betterment of the game, I think maybe it's not 100% fair. Okay, and it's not that I want to limit. I'm more than happy for Doofy to win as many ETH as he can per month or whatnot, because, you know, I'm doing very well at paid racing as well. And that's a part of it. If you're very good at paid racing, then you should be winning. Absolutely you should be. But that's not what this is about. This is about whether Ducky should be Class 3 or even Class 4, or whether Ducky should be by now, after 250 races, well and truly locked into Class 1. And I would argue myself that it's better for the game if horses of the quality, probably the best horse in the game, and you can see that based on the Zest odds and the results, when Ducky goes into a Class 1 race, she's usually the favourite and she usually wins. Well, not usually, but 1 in 4, she will win. Okay, based on that 25%. So how do we rejig that? Well, we need to put this data that we now have and then rejig the point system to suit that data. Okay, so the way that I think that needs to happen is the win rate needs to be a higher allotment of points so that horses that are winning at 25% still keep moving up through the system, even if they're losing a lot. All right, doesn't matter if they're getting to 200 or 300 points, that doesn't really matter. Okay, so a higher point allotment. So you might start, the win might be 10 points, but then second might be 5, and third might be 3, something like that. I don't know. It needs to match the data that we now have for these particular horses. And then as we come down, so let's do, I'm not sure if this would be the points, but it might be, as I said, 10 or 15 for first, and then a little bit less for second, third. And then you would cut that off. You could still have maybe a minimal amount of points for fourth, and then have less neutral positions. Currently you've got those 3 neutral positions in the middle there. You might need a few less neutral positions. So you might have 5th and 6th as 0 points, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 might start losing points. And depending on how many points they lose, you might have to shift the winning point. You know, the winning points might have to be 20 or 30 just to get the balance correct. Now, the balance doesn't only need to suit potentially Ducky and making sure that Ducky should be in Class 1 where she should be, but also horses like Excalibur and Tinder Romance shouldn't be disadvantaged by keep accruing points and pushing them up into Class 1 when they're never going to win a Class 1, well, very, very rarely going to win a Class 1 race. So the way that would suit as well is having a higher win point allotment for first, where Excalibur and Tinder aren't going to get many of those points, but then also beginning to knock points off horses a little bit earlier rather than just 9, 10, 11, 12. Because remember, Tinder Romance and Excalibur are finishing between second and say ninth the majority of the time, or second and eighth. So they're slowly picking up points but not losing many. So it's not a great reflection of these horses' winning ability or talent where they sit in the grades. Whereas if we bump up how many points you get for win and make that scale of where the points start getting knocked off, bring that up a little bit higher, maybe we will get better balance. But the Z developers should have the data to now match this in a more consistent way so that you get fields in classes with horses that have a chance of winning in those fields. Currently that's not the case. You're getting fields, particularly in grade 1, you're getting fields or you're getting horses that are moving up into grade 1 and then moving higher and higher into the point scale of grade 1, but they're never going to be consistently competitive for winning in grade 1. And look, maybe there needs to be some winners and some losers in the class system, and there probably always is going to be. But at the moment, I don't think it's perfect. I think number one, I think you've got the best horse in the game, which is now in class 3, which I don't think that potentially should be the case. I think if you're winning at 1 in 4 races, you should be in class 1. And then you've got horses with 1 and 2% win rates that are not only in class 1, but they're about 20 points above the threshold for getting into class 2. Now, I think there's enough data, there's absolutely enough data to have a look at that now and maybe achieve a better equilibrium across those classes. Anyway, let me know. Let me know. Should Ducky Malone, in the comments below, Doofy, you can say absolutely Ducky should be allowed to be in class 3 or shouldn't be a class 1. Give me a comment below. Should Ducky Malone be a class 1 horse, or should Ducky Malone be fluctuating down as far as class 3 and class 4 on a consistent basis? Let me know that. Let me know if you think the classes are perfect or whether they could be tweaked. The game is in beta. It's there to be tweaked. It's there to be discussed. And I think this is a small point where we could maybe improve the game a little bit. All right. Thanks for watching along. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.